What's going on, winners? It's your boy Loso 2.0, and today we're going to talk about five tips, five sales tips that are contrary to belief. Now, before we get started on this, let's do some housekeeping things. You can follow me on all my social media platforms at Carlos J. Henry Wins with AZ.com. On there, you can also put in an application to be interviewed on my podcast. You can purchase a copy of my Winner's Room, which is a starting guide for young minority people who actually want to get their mindset right before they jump into the professional or personal or the professional or career. You can also subscribe to my newsletter, which actually teaches young minority entrepreneurs how to achieve their personal and professional goals in a quarter of time through teaching them how to effectively communicate and holding themselves to a higher standard. And you can also reach out to me and try to get in contact with me in order to work with your business in squeezing out as much money as you can from customers who are already buying from you and create them into these raving fans that refer you to anybody with your own traffic, right? Instead of going out there and searching for new leads and constantly being on the hunt. Now, like I said, today I'm going to teach you about five tips. But before we get started with that, no, I'm not going to do the kit jaunt with it, right? Because I want you guys to first rate my little new suit I got going on here, right? Blues in, I'm, new blue guy, right? I took the emerald out, tried to try something new. So chime in and tell me what you think about it, right? But anyway, first of all, this is contrary to belief, and that is to genuinely care about your customers. Now, I know that seems like something that's a little bit more on the crazier end, right? Because when you think of a salesman, you think of this slimy, snake type creature that is just trying to take all your money that they have from you. Now, yes, you do need money in order to be successful in business, but no, not every salesperson is out here to get you. Okay. And that comes down to that, right? To the idea of genuinely caring about your customers. Genuinely care about them, feel for them, actually, because at the end of the day, sales is about emotion. It's about how much emotion can you bring in, right? Emotion, and then they back it up with logic. Everyone buys with emotion, though. They always say, hey, listen, there's a customer that came into one of my locations yesterday. He was constantly talking about the idea that, I usually go to the one all the way there, but when I love something or I love the customer service, I love the people I work with, I keep coming back here. He literally came back 3 times yesterday just to make sure he bought a product off of one of the representatives that was working with him. Actually, 4 times because he came a day before. That's how much you got to care about them. Treat them like your brother or sister. Okay. You're taking them from stranger to customer, from customer to sibling. That is how you should treat every single customer that you work with, right? Genuinely care about them and their needs, which also comes to my next point. Fix their problems. Genuinely ask them about their problems by asking discovery questions. Now, with copywriting, you won't be able to constantly ask them discovery questions as you are working with them. But I can tell you this, though, genuinely ask them the questions first by doing your market research. Go and find your ideal client. Ask them what wakes them up at night. Ask them what keeps them up at night. Ask them, what they eat for breakfast, lunch. I don't care what it is. You want to know them to the T, like they are your best friend. Just figure out what problems they're having and then bring in the hammer. Los is with the hammer solving problems, because that also shows you genuinely care. You're trying to figure out their problem and then you're fixing it. Okay. Yeah. There's actually a saying that we say, right? With one of my locations, we always say, hey, what can I help you with? Da, da, da. They tell you what the problem is. And the first thing you say is, I can help you with that. Even if you know you cannot do it, I can help you with that. Let me see what I can do. Because you're telling them you can help them. You're trying to figure out their problems. You're taking that nail, you're finding it, you're putting it in, and you're hammering it in. Always find out what your customer needs, right? What their problems are, and then solve their problems with the hammer. Remember, that's the second tip, right? Third one is to make sure that it's high quality. Your product or service has to be high quality. Now, getting it done, now I'm not saying take 3, 4 years in order to get something done. I'm not saying that. Actually, I'm saying get it done fast. But then this leads to the other two tips, which is make sure it's high quality, but also make sure it's overlooked. Example of this is Sylvester Stallone. He talked about when he wrote Rocky. He said he actually wrote the film in 3 days. 3 days, he wrote the entire film for Rocky. He just is a firm believer. It was terrible, he said, but he's a firm believer in getting stuff done. Get it done first, Then you can go back, you can overlook it, you can edit it, you can do all the stuff that you have to do contrary to the fact, right? Or after, I said contrary to the fact. After the fact, you can get it done. So what he did was, like I said, he went and he made sure that the stuff was high quality first. But no, he just got it done quick, and then he went back through and overlooked it in order to make sure it was high quality. So he was giving them the best for their money, right? The best bang for their buck. That's what I like to say, right? So definitely make sure that you're giving them high quality content by going through and overlooking it. But don't spend 3 years trying to get the content done. Get it done fast. Go back over and look at it, because at the end of the day, you're trying to give them the best that you can, right? You're trying to give them 10 times the value. Anything you're selling right now, if you're selling a shirt for $20, you better be giving me $200 worth of value. Okay, so that is the next thing, which leads me to my final thing, right? Because we were talking about emotion, is make sure you're telling a great story. I want you to take a guess how much this book costs. If you said $150, then you are correct. This book costs $150. Now you may think, Loso, you are crazy for even trying to purchase a book that's $150. But the values and the nuggets that I'm going to get from this book is going to last me a lifetime. This book was actually written by 1 million to $25 million revenue earners in an inner circle, well, a mastermind called the Inner Circle. That if you do not know Russell Brunson in the marketing world, you are living under a rock. But Russell Brunson has an inner circle mastermind where he has all these people on here, and they're making $1 million to $25 million in revenue. And after you're making that, you have to submit an application. You can't just get it regardless. And they're paying, I know, 25K a year, 30K a year. Then there's all these stuff to go just to go to these different mastermind groups. So get it, like I said, it's literally just a story that got me in it, right? Learning from people who make $1 million, $25 million in revenue, and all I gotta do is pay $150. Oh, you got me sold, right? That is the idea. You have to tell a story. People buy off of emotion, and then they back it up with logic. Okay, so the emotion from this was me telling, okay, people are, da, da, da. I know Russell Brunson anyway, follow a lot of his stuff because Dan Kennedy is who I follow, but then I look back, and also the logic from it is, why wouldn't I pay 150 for learning from people who are making 1 million to 25 million? Logically, it just doesn't make sense. That's more than 10 times the value. Okay, so also tell a great story. So we know, right? Generally care about your customers, solve their problem, make sure it's high quality. Then on top of that, make sure that you overlook it. And then finally tell a great story in the end of it all, right? So those are my 5 tips. I want you to comment below any other sales tips that you have that you may want to add to it, right? And also while you're there, like I said, follow me on all my social media platforms at carlosjhenrywins.com. You can also subscribe to my newsletter, which helps young minority entrepreneurs achieve their personal professional goals in a quarter of their time by teaching them how to effectively communicate and teaching them how to, excuse me, and teaching them how to hold themselves to a higher standard. You can also purchase a copy of my Winner's Win book, which is helping minority people in general, right, get started, kickstart their mindset before they get into any type of professional career, regardless of the circumstances. And then also too, you can apply to be on my podcast, which I'm also dropping golden gems about young minority entrepreneurs, about business mindset and things of those natures. And then of course you can also try to apply to see how we can work together in order to squeeze as much money we can out of your own traffic or customers that are already buying from you, instead of going out there and constantly hunting for new leads. So that's really all I have for you guys today, man. Keep killing the day. Winners win, losers lose, and you pray for success like this. 2.0 out.